Loving bullies. Value. Love your enemies. Rocco and Butch were the worst bullies in the school. Every day they wandered the halls, and everybody tried to stay out of their way. Sometimes they beat up the boys, but more often they pulled girls' hair or teased them until they cried. Nobody knew what to do about Rocco and Butch, so everyone just learned to stay away from them. But if they did catch you, you should cry right away because that made them happy and they would go to the next person to bully. One day, a new girl started school in the 5th grade. Her name was Holly, and a rumor went around fast that she was the daughter of the new pastor at the Methodist Church, which was the biggest church in town. Cindy and Holly became friends right away, and Cindy knew she had to warn Holly about the bullies pretty fast. But it was too late. As Cindy turned the corner in the halls to her locker, she saw Rocco and Butch begin to bully Holly. They were teasing her and laughing, but Holly didn't cry. "Cry, Holly, cry," Cindy whispered under her breath, hoping Holly would get the message. But she didn't. The bell rang, and soon the halls were filled with kids, and everyone was running out to the bus or to get picked up by their parents in the pickup line, so Cindy didn't get a chance to find out what happened. But the next day, she ran up to Holly as soon as she saw her. "Holly, I saw you talk to Rocco and Butch. I wanted to warn you about them. They are really mean bullies, so be careful." Holly just smiled a big, happy smile and said, "Okay, Cindy, don't worry." Rocco saw Holly at her locker before Butch did. "Hey, Butch, there's that new girl," he commented. "Something is different about her," Butch said, but they walked toward her their usual scary walk that usually made kids run away. "Hey, it's the preacher's kid. I bet the preacher's kid is the worst kid of all. That's what they say about preacher's children, you know," Butch taunted her. That's when Holly did something so unexpected that both bullies just froze in place, not knowing what to say. "Oh, hi, Butch. Hi, Rocco. I was hoping to see you today." And she gave them the biggest smile either of them had ever seen. Her smile was so pretty and full of friendship and love that they were paralyzed. "Oh, I saw you had a Snickers bar in your pocket yesterday, Rocco," she continued. "We have a bunch of those, so I asked Mommy if I could bring you some, and she said yes. And she said you sounded like super nice boys, and you can come over and play video games at our church youth night this weekend if you want to." Then Holly put a candy bar in each boy's hand and hugged them both and ran off to class, singing a happy song and skipping. "What just happened?" Rocco said finally when he could speak again. Butch didn't know, but he liked it. Then, when they recovered their senses, they saw what seemed to be the whole school staring at what just happened, and how a little blonde girl caused the meanest bullies in the school to stop in their places, and she hugged them and skipped away singing. The next day was even more amazing yet. Instead of wandering the halls, pushing people's books out of their hands and pushing girls down, Rocco and Butch went straight to Holly. And instead of those mean, smirking, ugly smiles that meant they were going to hurt her, they glowed as she talked to them. Cindy watched in amazement as Holly talked to them for several minutes during the lunch hour, and at the end, she hugged them again, and the two bullies went outside and didn't bully any people for the rest of the day. That was Friday, so everyone was curious about what was going to happen on Monday. Monday was so amazing, it was almost impossible for the kids and even the teachers to believe. Rocco and Butch showed up in regular clothes, not bully clothes, and they were smiling and even seemed a little shy. But when they saw Holly, they ran to her and hugged her. Cindy saw this and thought she even saw Butch cry a little bit. The bell rang and they went to class. After class, she finally got a chance to talk to Holly. "What did you do to Rocky and Butch, Holly?" she asked eagerly. "I loved them," Holly answered happily. "They are really very sweet. I will introduce you to them at lunch." "Rocco is way funny," she giggled. "You loved them?" Cindy said in amazement. "But they are bullies," she objected. "Well, the Bible says to love your enemies. And you know what amazing thing happens when you love your enemies, Cindy?" "What?" "They stop being enemies, and then you don't have enemies anymore. That's what my daddy taught me, and what he preaches every Sunday, and he does that because that is what Jesus taught," Holly continued. "I invited Rocco and Butch to church and youth group, and Sunday night they accepted Jesus, and they are going to join our youth group, and instead of using their talents to hurt people, they are going to learn to go on mission trips next summer." And just as Holly said, Rocco and Butch not only stopped being bullies, they became the most popular boys in school. In fact, no bullies could do anything in Cindy's school because Rocco and Butch knew all the bullies and wouldn't let them hurt people and started sharing Jesus with them. "How did you have the courage to love them, Holly?" Cindy said with awe. "It doesn't take courage, Cindy," Holly answered. "It's what Jesus wants us all to do. So if you obey him and share his love with others, they will follow Jesus too. And before long, everybody will love God and serve him. Wouldn't that be so cool?" And Cindy had to admit, she saw it work with Rocco and Butch. So what Jesus taught about loving enemies proved to be a truly miraculous teaching that Holly showed everybody how to live out at their school that year.